All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Designing the Best You. And we actually have a guest from our first season back on, Coach D. She is the freedom architect and activator of human potential. She's an award winning international success and business coach who has dedicated her life to empowering fearless leaders to live and lead on their own terms. With a 3C addiction to chai, chocolate, and chat, she brings delightful energy, seriously, you guys, to every online and offline encounter. As a catalyst for change, Coach D specializes in helping impact makers activate their limitless potential and guides them on a transformative journey towards self expression, authenticity, and alignment with their life's purpose. Whether she's known as Coach D, the Freedom Architect, she's here to upgrade your identity, amplify your impact, and elevate your income. And guys, when she's not coaching, seriously, go check her out on social media. She is dancing with her 3 daughters. She has a smile on her face. She's always doing fun things. And she also takes the stage as a captivating podcaster and speaker around the world. She fearlessly interviews inspiring individuals, sharing their stories and insights with a global audience. Through her engaging platform, she strives to impact millions, empowering them to be, do, and have what they desire. Welcome.
Oh my goodness. It's so good to be back, but it's also like I love these. I just want to say thank you so much for bringing me back, Vanessa. I just feel that our connection was always like, yeah, we got it. We got it. We
I don't even
clicked.
know, how did we meet?
I
I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
I don't remember, but that's the beautiful
Right?
thing. We just chatted, um, prior to this podcast recording, and was like, "Damn it!" Like, we haven't been connected for now some time, but it's still like
Mhm.
when we get together, there's so many juicy stuff that we have going
Yep.
on, and it's like, yes, let's do it. Let's just bring the light, bring the yeah, like let's just help people to be more conscious and be more elevated, and also like, yeah, whatever is, I think it's such a blessing in giving. I always feel, even if I'm like, even yesterday, when I was like, it's not the best day for podcast recording, 100% not, but I always know when I give like with this 100%, um I want to help someone else. It's not about me, but it's really like selfless giving. I
Mhm.
always get so much back. And I'm like, I'm on fire. After this podcast recording, I'm probably going to go and do some shit.
You know what? I was just talking about that on another podcast, on a health podcast. And as soon as we got off, we're like, okay, we're on fire. And now we're going to go do. This is what extroverts do, right? I mean, we are so fired up. And guys, I mean, tell us where you live right now and what time of day it is that we're actually recording this.
Yeah, so I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, and it's 8 p.m. And it's been a breezy day. I want to say also, like, it's been such an effortless day. Um, And I think 8 p.m., sometimes my brain goes in a complete shutdown. And sometimes it would be like, oh my God, let's do this. Like, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm in my fourth decade of in on this life. But I am so mindful about my sleeping habits. After 10:30, everything goes down. I'm in bed, but I feel like every time I have this, I actually I needed a coach around my night routine. And he told me, like, you have to unwind every time you have a podcast recording or coaching client. Find something that's gonna just allow your brain to unload.
Mhm.
And I have been meditating so many years now, and I do consider myself a master meditator. It's been one of the best practices to calm my restless mind, because I have such an ADHD. But it really, even at night when I'm preparing myself to go to bed, sometimes I couldn't. The only thing that helps me, and this is a beautiful hack for all of you restless souls, I just lay on the ground, on the floor, and I just breathe. Like, breathing gets me into such a beautiful altered states. It's like having an orgasm of yeah, I'm turned on by my life, you know.
Right.
It's really something like that gives me like peace and serenity. Just being on the floor and just breathing and just connecting with myself, with my essence, with the essence of life. And yeah, I went on a tangent here, but yeah, that's
No, that's fine. It's perfectly. It's 'cause it's not really a tangent too, because even what like I teach in my health coaching part of the business is like you gotta calm like your stress, like get your nervous like you. I'm sorry, but there's no diet, there's no supplement, there's no food, there's no exercise, anything that you can do that's gonna save you from anything unless you can learn how to calm your nervous system and get it into that state of rest, because otherwise it's just gonna be a freaking nightmare. And everyone's probably wondering like, why am I bringing on someone like Coach D here? You guys, here's the thing is every successful executive or professional in the workplace or entrepreneur business owner has been through hell and back.
where do we
And
start?
that's to say it lightly, right? We've been traumatized beyond. We've hit rock bottom. Like we were just talking yesterday, how, both of us took off about 18 months to a year from our businesses just to like deal with ourselves, right? Because we can't serve anyone else if we're not serving ourselves. So why don't you share a little bit about the whole background before all of your amazing success here?
Yeah, so I did if uh, so it was after my divorce, after separation of 22 years of marriage. We've been in kind of like our contract has finished for years before.
Mhm.
We knew that, and this is actually like I grew so fast, like I developed myself so fast, and he was there was like we're talking about decade. He was just stagnant. He just and the choice, the path that he made consciously, I don't want to grow. Personal development is not for me. Like you can watch Tony Robbins and jump around, that's not me, And he supported that, he gracefully supported that until I couldn't. It was such a big gap. And I thought that, I wish I would say that we had a conscious uncoupling. We did not. It was still like some wounds around him because he didn't make a choice. Ego was playing a big show.
Yeah.
But once he kind of calmed down, and once he, for me, it was like, oh, he's messing around with me. Like he's just being, he's just, giving me a hard time from the beginning. And once he settled, it was, damn it. I started to really explore, who am I when I'm not wife? After half of my life, I've been a wife, I've been a partner, and I've been taking care of everything. And now, like, there's a weekend that my kids are with him, and I'm all alone, and I'm just questioning my identity to the point where it hurt, like my body ached
Mm.
so much, like it had so much such a trauma response of
Mhm.
abandonment, of betrayal.
Mhm.
And my dad left when my parents divorced when I was 14, and all that shit came out.
It's
Everything.
amazing, isn't it? You're like, I thought I stuffed that. Like I thought I burned it. Apparently I didn't burn it enough.
Whew, everything came, and it was just like, yeah, you chose this. Now play with it. And it was 1 year of a deep healing, like really, like I'm talking about plant medicine, angelic healing, matrix, EFT, um,
Oh,
you
EFT is
know
great.
everything, like I did such a deep sessions with that most amazing therapists, breath work, somatic breath work. And then I went like really into what I didn't really knew. It was how disconnected I was with God. And because that was also trauma, my grandparents were so religious, and I had a story as a kid what religion means, what connection to God means. And all of that I started to question, but there's like so many miracles that were happening. And I was like, oh, there it is. That's God,
Yeah.
And it was so, so beautiful. In most excruciating moments, I also find the light, and I always knew like, yeah, universe has my back. And it was so hard for me to say God. It was so hard because I had so much resentment.
Mhm.
And once I accepted that, I saw the God in me, and I was just like, I accepted myself. And it was the most amazing, amazing moment. It didn't happen just overnight, but it was just like this. I landed home. I feel so safe in my body.
Mhm.
Feel so safe and seen by me, because I know that God always protects me. God sees me. That He always has my back.
Mhm.
And I think the path um, to that discovery, I think I needed to go through some really, really deep, just recognition, remembrance of who I truly am. And it's
And
not
it's
why.
crazy, isn't it? It's like you sit there and you talk about like, God, and you had a hard time with it. And I struggled with that too, because it's like he's supposed to be our heavenly father. And we had trauma with our earthly father. And you're like I
Mm,
still, even to this day, when I go to church or service, or I'm like, I hear father in a song and I don't say that word. Like I just don't say that word because it's so hard. I'm like, but my father here hurt me so bad. How can someone, I can't even see this person, right? I can't even see who he is. But like you said, it's like you have that hope, and when you trust and you have faith and you start to see the
right.
miracles, because there's right, you can
So
say
much.
miracles, you can say glimmers, you can say whatever words and stuff you want. It's still all God. Sorry, but it is, and it's like when you start to see those things, and there, I bring people on the show to talk about those issues, because none of us get through life unscathed, right? None of us do. And it takes the most, and I'm going to use successful lightly, but like depends on what your definition of success is. But like the most successful people in your own, whoever's listening's eyes, those people have done this hard work that Coach D has done the hard work that I've done. And you push through it. I'm sure there was days upon days where you're just like laying on the floor crying. You're like, why me? What am I supposed to do in this world now? Like, I was a wife, but you're now
Yeah.
trying to solve problems in a different way. You're trying to be strong. Like I tell my clients, like strong in a different way.
Mm,
You're not fighting a person or a thing anymore. You're fighting really for what's right and what people need, like that
yeah.
justice and whatnot, and saying that like people are here on this earth to do something special with their life. And it's hard when they're caught up in that nasty cycle of whether it's physical. They all have physical ailments, right? You had it too. It's like all of a sudden all these things start happening and you're like, what the like
Mm.
this wasn't supposed to happen, right?
Yeah. But also, like, I think that I always kind of knew that, or I felt it
Mhm.
somewhere in my gut, that I am meant to be of service, and finding that connection with God just, helped me to be real. And this is now where I am. I am, I am now at this moment where we are recording. I'm so, so in alignment with my soul purpose and with my service. And it feels so effortless. It feels flow. I talk about my framework, like from hustle to flow. And hustle, sometimes we connect it with this, hardworking mentality. But hustle is when whatever you're doing that it's not in alignment with your soul purpose, it is hustle. It
Yeah.
is hustle. When you and people say that when you love what you do, it's not about you loving what you're doing. It's about what you are meant to do.
Yep.
You
I
were
truly
made
believe
for this. You were created to. Everyone has their own imprint that they need to leave on this, and it's really, really hard. I think like so a few people really gets it, and a few people, and I think it's also like mentors like we have, just seeing them doing different things. I think especially in coaching industry, we have been taught this story. You need to focus on one thing and you need to just be a speaker or whatever. I can do the F I want.
Yep.
I can dance on Instagram and I can,
Mhm.
be the most amazing speaker and mother to my kids. But who am I when I strip away all these titles? Who am I in my soul, in my core? Who am I? So that was journey that I needed to discover. And yeah, now I feel that I'm kind of really, really, really in alignment, that I truly, like we talked these days, like, is this my freaking life? I have to pinch myself because it is truly, I live my life by my design.
Mhm. And it's our vocation now. Everyone talks about their job and their business and stuff like that. Like, just like we have a shared mentor, and like she talks about, like, it's our vocation. Like, this is what it should be. It shouldn't be hard work. And when I was on a podcast a few weeks ago, I was talking about, I said, there's 3 gifts we can give our kids,
Hmm.
right? There's 3 gifts. And the first one is, I'm sorry, there's a hope, and that's called God. That is the first thing that you can absolutely give them, is that hope. That you got that can carry you through so many hard times. I don't know where I would have been with all the things that I've been through if I didn't have that hope. Yes, I questioned just like you did. I'm like, why, right? I mean, I thank God for my counselor, because she is a doll, and just like, you'll get through it. You'll get, like, just just keep believing, just keep challenging all those things. But we challenge because we weren't allowed to be challenged, or we weren't allowed to challenge when we were younger too. So we kind of push for that. And then the second thing is to, like, just like you said, like, you're big into like meditation now. It's regulating your nervous system. Like, you can't go and be of service to people. You can't go help people in any shape or form if you are like stuck on high and you can't bring yourself low, or you're stuck on so low that you can't get yourself up and motivated, basically. And then the third thing is, what are you going to leave your kids with? Like, are you going to teach them that you're just going to be like everyone else in this world? Or are you going to teach each and every one of them that their personality matters? And you got 3 girls, I got the 3 boys. I mean, they're under the same damn roof. And I swear to God, I'm like, who are you? Like, right?
So amazing.
Who are you? But I see you in, like, me in you. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to pretend that's not my personality traits.
It's so amazing. And yeah, they're such a teachers, right? They're such a
Mhm.
teachers, like the mirrors that they put on us. It's just like, okay.
It's
I see
amazing.
you. Uh-uh.
It really is. And like, you're on a lot of stages and whatnot, and you're talking about, helping people, like, thanking their fears and things like that. It's like, why don't you share a little bit about that? Because people are just like, look, I want to get rid of the fears. I'm done. Like, don't ever come back, like, whatnot. So tell us what you stand on stages and you talk about in that manner.
I love this because it's always like, my brand, Fearless and Successful, and the podcast and everything started with the intention. And this is what it evolved so much. It's so freaking amazing. It started with this idea of, I'm just going to freaking do it anyway. That was what I said to myself. And this was when I was very in a state of high achieving woman.
I remember us even talking. I think we labeled each other's podcasts like something about us being like super moms and high achievers.
So much in high achievement. When I started in 2017, it was that, hey, I'm gonna crush it. I'm just gonna go. And this was also a trauma response. It was just to prove myself to my parents, to everyone else, and I've got this. I am just collecting these titles, and fearless became because of that. Every fear I'm gonna have, I'm gonna eat fear for breakfast. And it was not from a place of love. It was from a place of deep grief. Because I never had that. I didn't know then, but I never had the recognition from my parents. I never had validation from my parents. I'm a middle kid, and I just wanted my spot in the world. I just wanted that, and it came from a deep place of sorrow and grief. And and what I'm doing right now, and just like portraying this message, yeah, fears are legit. They're so good. What stick with me through all these years is that every time I went through a fear, on the other side, I came out not just stronger, because that's like, yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Not
Oh, I
just
hate that
stronger,
phrase now.
but right, but with an incredible lesson, of perseverance, grit, and this endurance. And these are the things that really, I think, are the key to be successful. You know, grit, whether that's emotional grit or physical grit, it's such a great quality. You know, we think, and that's where the limitless come into play. I really, guys, I encourage you to watch Discovery with Chris Hemsworth, his Limitless series,
Mhm.
where he goes and he challenges his body and mind, like to the point where it's like, fuck, will you
That's
really
like
do
David
this?
Goggins. Oh my gosh.
Right, right. And that's the thing. I think, when you know that there's so much more potential in you, and you really like, and we moms, we tend to do this when it's like, I can't do this. And then you're not even halfway, you still have like,
Yep, and you're still
so
up
much,
there.
you still have so much energy, so much, everything. And not just mom. I would say, like, humans, we just belittle ourselves how much capable we are. And dealing with your fears is essentially that, testing your limitlessness, because we all have limitless potential. We
Mhm.
just don't want to go, we just want to stay comfortable. We just don't want to go there.
And
And
that's not what we're called to do is,
no,
like, anyone who's a Christian, you read the Bible and it's like, he didn't say it's going to be easy.
no.
Like, I'm sorry, he actually says it gets harder. Like,
Mm,
that's
mm,
what, and
mm,
that's
mm.
what it's supposed to be, because we're supposed to be working towards what we are designed to do. That's
Yeah,
in our plan. We're supposed to be, co-creating,
yeah,
but it's ultimately his plan, and we're working along that path, right?
yeah, yeah. And this is where it gets so beautiful right now, where
Mhm.
I understood, like, maybe a year ago, why fearless, And this is the most amazing part that you can get from this episode. If you think fear is basically ego, right? It's if you just think of a construct of a human being, we have fear and ego, and on the other side is love, pure love. We are all love. It's not just we are being loved or we love. We are love. That's who we are in essence. And if you think that everything that you operate from a place of fear is against everything that it's love, and when you are truly fearless, you are the most freaking lovable person in the world.
It's so
when you
true.
just when you just operate from a place of love, there's no room for fear, because they can't co-reside. They
Mhm.
can't coexist in the same frequency. Love frequency of fear is so low that when you're in the frequency of love, it's like fear doesn't get a chance.
Doesn't exist. Yeah.
So being in that free, even if you're like, it can be hard, but you can still operate from a place of love.
Mhm.
Giving a birth to a kid, it's hard. It's freaking labor, but it comes from a place of love.
Mhm.
And
And we
when you
keep doing it over and over.
and
God.
what I learned, why all my three labors were so freaking amazing, full, like I didn't had any painkillers, nothing, no helpers. I just felt such an immense sense of love in my body, and there was no fear. There was no fear. And now when I'm like just unfolding this idea, if you are fearless, you're also love. There, I'm connecting that to giving birth to my kids.
Mhm.
There was no fear.
Well, it's funny. It's now you say no fear. Think about your first one, right? We all have these ideas in our head. We're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How's this going to
Yeah,
work? How's it, all these things. And that
yeah,
happens with everything. It's not just like with birth.
yeah,
It's like starting a business. It's like our health. We all of a sudden get
yeah.
like a diagnosis or something like that. And we're like, and all this fear starts going
Mm, mm,
through. And,
mm.
I say this a lot too, just with me and my husband and some friends, but, now I'm going to say it here. It's like when we, as adults, as parents too, are are I don't want to say creating, but just activating those fears in our home, what kind of legacy again is that leaving for our kids? It's
mm, mm,
showing
mm,
them that, yeah, okay, there's no fear, right? Or there's no love, right? There's fear.
mhm,
And this
mhm,
is how
mhm,
we respond to problems and situations and all this stuff. But there, if you can activate the love more than fear, like you're saying, you can elevate it up here. You're
mm,
going to be able to do so many different things. You're going to be able to handle situations differently. You don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist. Your
mm.
mind is clear of the fears. there's
Yes.
there's people in this world that are given the extreme knowledge that's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be someone who builds a house. Like, that's just not me. Like, that person is an expert in that, and I'm going to trust, right? Trust and faith and love all go together.
Mm, mm,
Fear
mm, mm,
is
mm.
not in the middle of that. You put fear in the middle of that, you just lost all of those. Like, you just
Right?
completely lost it all.
You kill the abundance, right?
Mhm.
You kill the abundance when you are in the scarcity mindset, right? So we are so abundant. We just need to see it. And going back to my first birthing my first kid, no, I didn't felt fear. I had this beautiful vision of holding her and how will that feel, and that's the basics of manifestation, you know. I know, I remember when I was reading law of attraction and secret and blah blah and all this stuff,
Mhm.
I was actually envisioning, and that, and not just envisioning but also being in the feeling when I'm gonna hold her when she comes out, you know. And throughout the whole, well, it was 2 hours, so it was not like a you know.
Short one, y'all.
But I didn't, you know, but what do we do, you know? What do we do when we are in fear? We contract, right? We contract. And for me now, when I'm seeing all this, like, and connecting to my to giving a birth or to creating something, you have to be in expansive mode to
Yeah,
actually
that's
create something,
huge. That's
right?
huge. I want to stop you there because it's like, it goes back to, as I'm sitting here connecting the dots as we're talking too, you have your nervous system, right, that we were talking about. You have that meditation, you have, visualization is huge,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're putting, so many people are like, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this. Well, why not flip the switch and start viewing
What
a
is possible?
what is possible? Like, my husband, he's freaking out about he might lose his job. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't you visualize what it's like to keep your job? What does that look like? What
Mm-hmm.
kind of asset are you going to be there? Right.
Yeah.
Or people, when they come to you
Or
and you're like,
just trusting, or
yeah,
just
trusting.
trusting,
Yeah.
trusting.
Everyone has
Deep
these
trust.
mouths that talk and spread things like wildfire, right? I mean, same thing with health issues, right? You go to the doctor and you're like, okay, well, I know I've got test results. Okay, they're going to tell me something. Okay, well, why don't you be like, hey, you know what a gift that we have, physicians out there that can help us with this stuff. Or a kid going to school afraid, like, isn't it a great thing that we have teachers who have the ability to teach, God help them, 20 plus kids all day long, like, no, thank you. It's good enough with three. Um, right?
Yeah, they're such
And we
a
have to
guru.
start looking at things differently. And you and I both know, like, we're human, right? We're not always going to think like that. But if we keep things like that, I mean, I have visual reminders all over our freaking house of like, here, love each other. Here, let's, it's not positive thinking. I'm sorry, but get that freaking, like,
Mhm,
out the door
mhm,
type thing, all these,
mhm,
but like, it's more of like meditating on the things, like you said, that are good, that can help you flip the switch, because as humans, we're naturally designed to think of the negative first, the bad things, the fear first. And we were designed that way so that we can challenge ourselves to trust and believe in the God who has the ultimate plan,
mm,
right?
So good.
Mhm.
And just, just touching a bit of this, like, just know that, and there's an extensive research like everywhere, just knowing that every negative thought, you have to equalize that, you have to have 5 positive thoughts. So just think how powerful and strong negative thoughts have the effect on your body, on your system. So every time you caught yourself, catch yourself, like, yeah, I'm stupid, I can't do this. Think that you need to substitute all of that with 5 positive thoughts. So to
Mhm.
equalize And going back to that, just trusting and believing. Like, there is no greater gift than just to believe in yourself, because when you ultimately believe in yourself, how can you say to your kid, I believe in you, if you don't believe in yourself?
Mm-hmm.
The kid
Yep.
is a creation of you, and if you believe in your kid, where is the missing part of you not believing in yourself? Who are
Yep.
we fooling right here, right?
Well, it's the thoughts
So
that we were the things that we were told as kids, and that's why it's so important. I mean, do I believe like fake it till you make it type thing? No. But do
mm,
I believe speaking those positive things outwardly to our kids and truly like having that intent? And I know it's hard for people who've gone through significant trauma in childhood and things like that. Like, to say like, I love you, I believe in you, you are worth
mm,
something, you are designed to do great things. But like,
mm,
we find it a lot easier, at least as moms and things like that, to say that to our kids because we want so much more for them. But
mm,
like, say those things back to yourself, like you're saying, like say
mm.
it right back to yourself because
Yeah,
they are a part of you,
yeah.
right? I mean, it's
But
huge.
kids, no, kids, it's not about what you say to them. They just feel it.
They feel it.
If I say to my kid, like, you're so brave, and I'm not portraying that bravery, like,
Mhm.
they will know, like, who the fuck you're fooling, You're not fooling me,
Exactly. Yeah, you're looking good. And like, mommy, look at me, and isn't this so great? And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're type like you're
It's like,
amazing.
it would be the same if I would say, like, "Hi, chocolate is not good for you," and I would eat chocolate. Like, it's the same thing. What are we doing right here? Like, our little humanoids, they feel everything. They feel
I love
everything.
that
If you
humanoids.
if you're scared, if you are, if you're sad, they know you can't fool them. So, when you say to them, be authentic. If you don't believe it, why would you say it? You
Yeah.
know and this is where it just comes to this, like, having these conscious conversations with our kids. I think that's such a gift that we can give to the world. We Our kids now, these generations, are just so tremendously gifted, and they have so many resources they're gonna crush it out there. We
Mhm.
really have to be careful how we talk to them and what energy we bring into the space.
Oh,
um
absolutely. I mean, I was just talking to my niece like 2 weeks ago, and she's going to be 20 in oh geez, a few days here, and she is learning the things that I just learned a couple years ago about like myself and all like the inner healing and all that type of stuff. And I'm just looking at her. I remember sitting at Starbucks. I'm just looking at her. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I am so proud of you for taking that and learning that now. And like you said, I mean, they are so much more intelligent than we even know, imagine, or can even give them credit for right now. And just like if we give them those thoughts, we give them that hope, we teach them how to do the meditation and things like that, and manifesting and visualizing things, like they're gonna just rock this world because this world is not getting any nicer and kinder and all the things. It's up to us. Everyone's always like, well, it's this person's fault and it's this person's, and they have to fix it and they have to fix it. Start with you in your own home, right? You start within your own home in your heart and in your soul, and then home in your physical home with your kids. I mean, you're going to make a massive difference. They'll be able to tackle anything. I'm sure you see it when you're up on stages or you're dealing with clients one on one, and you're like, oh my gosh, like the transformation that comes about when you just start changing yourself, right? Like we were talking a little bit before we got on here about like everyone wants each other in a relationship to change. Like change yourself and work on yourself and uncover who you're supposed to be. And then the relationship just falls together.
Yeah. And I love that you said, like, you're who you're supposed to be, because your kids will never copy what, we have been in this, monkey see, monkey do. No, like, we have to understand, these kids, they don't do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they don't do what you tell them to do.
Oh God, I wish some days, but no, I don't want them to at the same
They,
time.
no, they are inspired by the person who you are. And that has nothing to do what you do. And they're inspired by, I remember, I will never forget. God knows that me and my 16 years old. Like we have battles. Like, we are so alike, and when we
Mhm.
get, it's like it's hard.
Mhm.
And she's so strong, I'm scared sometimes. She's so loud, and but I will never forget, like there was like few years ago when I was really, really, that was probably, yeah, it was beginning of COVID.
Mhm.
My business took off, like it was crazy. It was crazy. That was the time when I started to work like really extensively with Dean and Tony, and working with their teams. It was just amazing. It was such a beautiful time. But I was like, I had this deep gap in my soul, and I was just so burned out. I was doing like, it was just, I was not fulfilled because I felt this is yet another achievement. This is yet another milestone. Yeah, you speak to Tony and blah, blah, and all this shit. But I was just so unfulfilled because that was not who I really wanted to be.
Mhm.
And nothing wrong. Like I'm tremendously grateful because that man profoundly impacted my life.
Mhm.
Um, but there was something beyond. And I remember like just one day, I was crying. I was so tired. And my mom and my daughter said to me, Mom, I'm so proud of you. One day I want to be like you. And that was like, it has nothing to do what I do.
No.
It was just the vulnerability, the honesty, the the rawness of human being that she felt, I want to be like you.
You're bringing
You're
tears to
so
my
good.
eyes.
Right.
Mhm.
What is the big, the biggest legacy is to allow them to, you know to show them that you can truly be who you want to be, and that there is no conditioning, and the only condition is you set the limit, you set the standard, you set the bar for yourself. No one does that to you. You choose. And that is what I'm always trying to be mindful of teaching my kids. Am I limiting in some way their potential?
And I
Mm.
love that you say that because, and I've got my two businesses that are slowly marrying together here. And you've got like when I was doing career coaching and whatnots, people just always wanted the next achievement, the next role, the next position that's going to get them X amount of money and some status level. And some people say, "Oh yeah, no, that's not what I'm doing." Yeah, you are, because otherwise you would stay at the same level and you wouldn't, you'd be happy, right? And it isn't about what job you have or if you own a business or if you don't. I'm sorry, but this is going to break it to y'all that like very, very few people can own and run successful businesses. Like it takes a heck of a lot more work than anything else, all the behind the scenes and things like that. When we're talking about like the grit and the hard work, we're we're saying that there's just a lot behind the scenes that people don't see, and it does fulfill us, but it's a lot of work. But there's no one says except for you what you're supposed to, you and God, right? You have to be in alignment. Otherwise, it is going to be, like you said, hustle, right?
Mm,
it's going to
mm,
be
mm,
hard
mm,
work.
mm.
You're going to feel like you're dragging and this is never going to end and all that type of stuff. But it has to be in alignment with Him. But just because you're working as a janitor or you're working as a project manager or you're working as a school teacher doesn't mean that you aren't doing a good job or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You are
Yes.
adding value to this world. And if you don't believe that and you don't show your kids and your employees and your children that you're teaching, in the school environments that, then why would they ever want to grow up and be a teacher or project manager or an executive or a business owner or anything like that? Maybe that's what they're supposed to be. And you now just squashed that because you're not living the way that you're supposed to live. You're
So
fear.
good.
Mhm.
So good. And I want to reference Robin Sharma's book on that, The
Mhm.
Man Without No Title. Like in that book, he really, really talks about the human regrets, and how beautiful it is to actually have purpose. That's where I discovered that we all are meant to do in the world something that is unique to us. And once you get to that point where you are truly, and that will evolve and it will change.
Mhm.
It's not, my mom, bless her, she was 43 years in the same job and with same employer. And these, we're not there anymore.
Mhm.
That's not a badge of honor to be with same employer for 43 years, you can actually, as a multifaceted, multi-passionate person, allow everything to come through,
Yep.
allow everything to be in service of this world, um and I think, Tony Robbins taught me this really beautifully. Success without fulfillment is an ultimate failure. When you're not truly fulfilled, you're really failing at life.
Yep. I
That's
mean,
when
he was designed to be up on stages and speak the way that he was. Like, not
yeah,
everyone is, and that's
listen,
the way it's supposed to be. We need W-2 employees, we need teachers, we need business owners, we need people who are creative. We need everyone, but we need everyone to recognize who they are supposed to be.
and
It's
with the times that are coming, AI and robots, like,
oh
you
gosh.
really have to, that's another, but you really
Mhm.
have to hone into what is truly unique to you,
Mhm. Yeah,
you
it's that
know?
human experience, it's the human connection. I mean, guys, like she said, it's like all the AI and the robots. I mean, chat GBT and everything like that. I mean, it's like, I mean, someone has to design that stuff, of
It's
course, but it's like I mean, right? Even when you call into customer service, you still can't get a human, right? Like, you want a freaking human to talk to, like, especially with
Times are
patients. You
evolving.
want a
It's
freaking
crazy.
human.
It's so crazy. Times are evolving so fast, and
Mhm.
you know, as we mentioned, stories. Our stories makes us who we are. Our, just embrace them. And I think what I also want to leave your listeners with, write it down, write your story. You don't need to be a speaker, you don't need to be a coach, you don't need to be, a public figure to write your story down and to um, write it down for yourself. I know when I started to write my book, I was like, this is gonna be my own healing journey, and it
Mhm.
was. And my clients were like, we have to read your book, like, what are you doing, like, you have to publish this. And I was like, no, this is so selfish, this is my work of art. It's my journey, it was my journey to discovering my purpose. And I don't need to publish this, I don't need to give this to the world. This was my own selfish work of art. And I think, like, everyone, I'm not saying that you should write a book, but write your story, because it's such a gift to you, and it's such a gift to just discovering who you're. You're so much more than you're aware of.
And I love that you said that because I mean, and please don't throw it away or burn it. Like, put it in a spot, like put it in a safe, because then, your girls 20 years from now,
Yeah,
30 years from now,
yeah,
when you pass from
yeah.
this earth, I mean, what a beautiful thing to be able to read that. Like, I know if my family had left something like that, I would
Mhm.
have been like, wow. Like,
But wouldn't you want to read a story from your grandmothers,
I would have loved to.
right,
I
right,
would have loved to.
right.
You just hear all this like hearsay and whatnot and what, but I would have loved to like see her handwriting,
Yeah,
read
yeah,
it. I mean, she came over from Europe, and
yeah.
whatnot. So I would have loved to be able to see that in
That
writing,
is so, just,
inspired.
we have such a power to heal so much of our ancestral lineage, just by putting this work out to the world, our stories. Because I wish I could understand, I did so much past life work and past life regression, and astral projection and out of body experiences. I did so much conscious work and so much, um modalities to just get to a point where, can I even understand what my ancestors were, um, what were they all about? My grandmother, she was a housewife, she was married to engineer. What was she going through when she was like having dozen of kids and, taking care of, why did she chose that path? I would love to know.
Mhm.
And, yeah, and maybe I'm just taking this, not responsibility, but this gift, this blessing, to actually be the first to share what it is that I am about, And I create the path for all the people that will come after me, for all these humans, my daughters and my grandkids.
And I love
I'm the one who's breaking that,
you.
generational
Mhm.
uh, thing, and I'm there to just, yeah, we can create history that's going to be somewhere, that's going to mean something.
And I love that you say that. And like she said, guys, I mean, I think that is a really great thing to leave everyone with too, is like write your story down, then put it in the safe. And so it doesn't get burned or doesn't get left anywhere, damaged or anything like that, because like generations to come, like what we're doing now, and I read this a long time ago, is what like early in my healing journey of like what we are doing now, whether it's good, bad, breaking the chains or not, affects 4 generations after us. 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
think about like how you were parented, how you were taught things. Like that was from 4 generations prior. And you're like, okay, not that it was good or bad or indifferent, but it was just like, what do you want to leave for the next 4 generations that you most likely won't get to see, but they'll be able to impact the world in what way? And not to like elevate yourself or to be selfish in any way, but this is selfless because you're changing other people's lives who have the opportunity to change other people's lives.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's just so great.
And everyone I think journaling was such a healing process for me. Like it's such a healing practice. If you don't know how to start, just ask yourself, who do I want to be today? Who am I today? How does that make me feel? And just let it flow. It takes 2 minutes. Put the timer for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It takes just 2 minutes to get into the flow.
Mhm.
So just write for 2 minutes, and then you're going to see, oh, it's 20 minutes. I wrote a chapter,
Yep.
So just ask yourself, like, who do I need to be today? Or who am I today? How does that make me feel?
Mhm. Or
And
who
you're
am I
going to
not
see
today,
magic,
right?
magic, magic. Or who am I not today?
Mhm. I think
Yeah.
that's great. I think it's absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, we could probably talk for another hour.
For sure.
But where can people find you so they can learn more about you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah. So Instagram is my favorite platform. There you can see me dancing. So it's at Diana Lugoli. And yeah, listen to the podcast. Fearless and Successful. You can find us anywhere you listen to the podcast. Yeah, I think Vanessa's gonna come on the show soon again because she was
Again,
on
yay!
my podcast. So yeah, you guys, and just share with us, what was your kind of aha moment or wow work of art, that yeah, tag us on the Instagram and share with us. We would love to connect and hear your story, your feedback. It means so much.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
staying to the end.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for coming back on again and sharing all some of the, intimate things and whatnot. And guys, yeah, go check her out on Instagram. All that information will be in the show notes. Anything that we talked about, some of the links to books she recommended, people, and all those things. And guys, let's just keep on designing the best you because the world needs you at its best.